How are you today?
Good, Brandy. How are you? Thank you very much for having me on. It's good to be with you for this recording.
Thank you. I'm doing well. I know it's late afternoon there. It's late at night here. But I wanted to bring you on to just have a conversation with you because you've been a huge supporter of the white South African minority community, and a huge supporter of mine, and always supported me and them. And so I just thought that it would be nice to have a conversation with you on a couple of topics, from your point of view in Australia and my point of view in America. So let me grab my glasses because I won't be able to see. So, Mike, what we were going to talk about is the number one, the recent surge in gun shops being robbed, um, and also the epidemic of cash in transit heists and robberies and the murders. So I wanted to start out about talking about some of these gun shop robberies and other robberies where the criminals are obtaining um, firearms, not only firearms, but military grade firearms. And so were you aware of this recent string of robberies at the gun shops in South Africa?
Yes. It's been quite a rush and quite a spate of incidents lately with the gun shops being robbed, and they're taking weapons like AK-47s, I think, and heavy duty assault type rifles, and yeah, we know where they're going to end up going, and they're just hitting shops all over the place, and taking and stealing these guns, and the armored car heists have really ramped up in, I think, about the past 6 to 8 months. Have just gotten almost to an epidemic proportion. They just brazenly just stop these armored cars on the side of the road and just do them in and just rob them, and it's
In broad daylight.
in broad daylight as well. I mean, they're not being clandestine about these things. They're not doing it under the cover of darkness. They're doing it in broad daylight, like it is out here at the moment. It's just they're very brazen. They just don't seem to care about being caught on it. They just steal the guns and steal the rob the armored cars.
Right. And I've been told that these robberies of the gun shops, that these haven't been an issue in the past until here recently. And I actually did some research on this, and I found dozens of articles of police stations being robbed of weapons. And in farm attacks, they're always looking for weapons, and they always take any weapon. Also, I found some stories of robberies of military bases for
Military bases.
weapons. Uh,
Okay.
yes, yes. Um, there was one in 2017, and they caught, I guess, the people on duty there off guard and robbed them for all of their weapons. So you can imagine what kind of weapons that the criminals ended up with.
Well, yeah,
Um, I know
military grade weapons, as you said. So
fully automatic
yeah,
weapons of war.
mm,
That's pretty scary that criminals are running around with these weapons while they're amassing these huge stores of firearms, a lot of them military grade, fully automatic, also explosives that they're using in the armored car heist. Um, but the farmers and the white minority community have mostly been disarmed. Um, or they're kept from being able to legally obtain firearms due to all of the red tape, the long waiting period, and that's if they can afford the astronomical costs of a firearm. You almost have to be wealthy to get, to own like an AR-15, and you have to have all the license, and it takes so long. So basically, what I'm getting at is these people can't protect their homes or their families, but the criminals are armed with fully automatic machine guns. That's just insane to me.
Yeah, it's completely insane, as you said, and completely the upside down, because as you pointed out, the farmers in the farmer tax as well. Weapons are being stolen from the farmers. Those who can afford to get the licenses and the guns are having their weapons stolen. So, should these people obviously survive the attacks that they're being subjected to, their chances of getting another firearm are going to be very, very slim, because all the red tape and all the cost involved in getting another gun, because the criminals stole the guns that they already had.
Right, and the laws are different for whites obtaining guns than everybody else. That's why the long waiting periods and the costs and the licensing and all of that. It's not a level playing field. It's not fair. You live in Australia. I live in America, and I live in the greatest state in America, Texas, where
Texas.
the most we have the most loose Second Amendment laws or in the whole United States, which is great. So I don't know what it's like not to be able to protect myself in my home. I can protect myself in the grocery store. If someone threatens my life in the grocery store and I am under a direct threat of death, I can shoot them right there, anywhere. Um, I'm not sure of your laws over there. I know they're more strict than ours, but um, you guys are allowed to protect yourself in your home. Are you not?
Yeah, most certainly. If someone obviously comes into your home and over here and decides to uh, rob you or attack you or whatever, you have every right to defend yourself. That's not the issue. Um, we most certainly can defend ourselves, but as you did point out, Australia's gun laws are a lot stricter than in America. We don't have a Second Amendment, as you guys do. Um, our gun people obviously can own firearms here. I know several people who actually own firearms, and they go shooting quite often at shooting ranges and wherever else. Um, but you have to license and background checks and all these other things that have to be done in order for you to qualify to get a gun license. It's very restrictive, and it became more so after the Port Arthur massacre in 1996, when Martin Bryant went on a shooting spree. I think he killed about 30 or 40 individuals in Tasmania. The federal government tightened the gun laws even further back then. There is a push, however, by several gun lobbies in Australia to loosen the laws. I don't know how that's progressing. I'm not close to that issue.
Right. I just wanted to ask because it's just so night and day from what I'm used to. Um, the criminals are armed and the law-abiding citizens are helpless to defend themselves, mostly. I mean, how do you defend yourself against an AK-47 if you don't even own a gun? It's
Exactly.
unbelievable.
It's like someone trying to defend them. They might as well pick up a stick and try and defend themselves with a
Yeah,
stick for the amount of good anything else is going to do. against an AK or a fully automatic assault rifle or something.
Right. And and then people are getting arrested for, recently there was an arrest, and, I read the stories and everything, and the man actually had an old rifle that he was restoring. Well, he's now been arrested for treason, I believe. Don't quote me, but it's something to that sort, by the Hawks, the Anti-Corruption Task Force. And actually, I found so many stories on the Hawks, on this Anti-Corruption Task Force, that they're actually corrupt, and they've been convicted of corruption and fraud and bribery and all kind of things. And this is who is deciding who goes to jail for corruption or these crimes. I don't trust what they say, and this poor man, I believe his life will be destroyed no matter what, but it's not fair, and it's just ridiculous. I don't know if you read that story, but I don't want to go into it too much, because that's another story, but yeah, it's very sad. But so moving on from talking about the robberies of the gun shops and the police stations for weapons, also I came across a story. It was a BBC story, actually, and what they reported is that that this should be a national emergency, this cash in transit robbery epidemic. So I have some of the numbers on that, and I'll tell you. So from March 2018, and this is what SAPS and Hawks had to say. From March 2018 to April 2017, they reported there were 238 cases reported of cash in transit robberies. So the South African Banking Risk Information Center, they say the numbers point to 385. So that's a huge discrepancy. So that's a 153% increase from the year before. That's crazy. So the numbers don't align.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the numbers don't align with Hawk's presentation. Hawk said 1,900 heists were recorded between 2008 and 2016. SAPS put the number at just over 1,750. The South African Banking Risk Information Center says to date, as of 2018, it was over 2,900. And that over R1 billion has been stolen in a decade. Is that number shocking to you at all?
No, that's absolutely staggering. I mean, that amount of money to be heisted from vans and to be, shifted who knows where, that kind of money cripples economies quite easily. That level of that and who knows where the money is going. We could speculate, but that would just cause, that wouldn't be good. But it's staggering the amount of money that is taken. Of course, we know that the people who are committing these crimes aren't doing it for charitable reasons. Obviously, they're doing it for some kind of nefarious cause. Who knows what? But that sheer amount of that spike in armored car or armored truck robberies is staggering, especially in the past 18 months or whatever it is you quoted the figures for. It's
Right.
really ramped up.
And it kind of points to it being systematic,
Yeah,
very well planned and systematic, and they see it as an easy target, easy way to make money. But as you said, that amount of money can cripple an economy that's already crippled. But
yeah,
you're taking money is coming out of your economy, the businesses that are making money, and um, you know that would help your economy thrive. That's where that money's coming from, and yes, that will cripple an economy that's already crippled, really. But you had said that who knows where these are coming from. There have actually been reports that, well, we already said that they just do this in broad daylight. It's usually gang attacks on armored trucks. They shoot out the tires. They use explosives to open the doors. They attack the guards, shoot them in the back of the head in broad daylight. Um, 10 to 20 gang members, they're well prepared, AK-47s, explosives. But reports have said that these are foot soldiers, and there are about 200 kingpins. So who are they? And um, they say they work across province boundaries with military precision, and that it's believed people with experience in armed forces may be involved, also police. A number have been linked to police. A member of the Hawks was reportedly due to pocket tens of millions of rand for his role in keeping out of, and he was convicted. He was found guilty of that crime. So, I don't know, that's crazy. What do you think about that?
that is crazy. I mean, the details you just gave there. I mean, they shoot out the tires, and that's pretty much a standard thing for any armored heist anywhere in the world. But for them to then take explosives, I mean, normally, what do you do? Just normally a normal armored car robbery, you just hold the drivers up for ransom, get them to open the doors, and then you just make off with the goods. They're blowing it with explosives, C4 or whatever, and they're breaking in, and obviously they're executing the drivers as well. But it sounds very professional and very well organised. It's not a random attack on an armoured car just driving down a highway somewhere. They're being targeted. It wouldn't half surprise me if these people who are coordinating these attacks know where the armoured cars are travelling from and to, and quite frequently can intercept them that quickly, because it's just too
Yeah,
efficient otherwise.
exactly. And I did read a little about that um, it's thought that they do know, exactly when they're going, where they're going from point A to point B, and that often the drivers are attacked before they even get in. Like walking from point A to point B.
Mm.
That's just crazy to me because I mean we have armored cars everywhere, but most people wouldn't be stupid enough to rob one because the risk of them being killed is greater than the armored car drivers being killed. And then the police would be, the FBI, the police, I mean, there's no way you would get away. And I think a lot of these people, they catch a lot of them, but don't, um, not a lot of them are convicted, is kind of what I read. And that's
Mm.
pretty shocking.
Yeah, like our armored cars here in Australia. There's always two drivers with the car at any given time. I've seen them in passing, obviously. They are equipped with handguns, batons, and probably pepper spray. So the guards are, well, our guards here are reasonably well armed to defend against, a lone person trying to hold them up. But you know, what you're describing is a gang of people going after these armoured
Yeah.
cars. Probably half a dozen, 10 people or more, going after these guards in these cars. So it's a synchronized, coordinated attack. It's not just a rogue element. It's very well planned and executed, and it's in what's happening.
Yeah, it's very scary. And I mean, this is on top of everything else that's going on in South Africa. All of the other corruption, the farm murders and attacks on the white minority, the racist laws put in place that keep them from being able to even get jobs, the government
Mm.
corruption, the bank fraud. I mean, it's just never, and you can't tell
The
where the ends and where it ends. I mean, it's just
and and
so much.
and also the literal destruction of their economy. Um, South Africa used to be a first world nation, basically, like America
Mhm.
or Australia. Their infrastructure is falling apart now. I read recently that XCOM has run out of coal almost. They can't run their power stations. They've got load shedding all the time. Everyone I speak to in South Africa, my friends over there are always saying 2 or 3 times a week the power goes out because the power stations can't generate enough power for what's needed.
I don't believe that they're running out of coal, but I read a report about a week ago that they um, estimated that ESCOM would completely go down in 2 to 3 weeks. So I don't know how true that is or exactly what is going to happen. I know that a lot of people are very fearful that that will happen because if that does happen, um, that means just slaughter for many people, not just
Mm.
whites, but it will become a war zone very quickly.
Anarchy will just reign everywhere. It'll just fall apart even further.
Yeah, that's very scary. Um, so I don't know what's going to happen, but well, Mike, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because these are things that we don't usually talk about, and you don't really see reported, you know, on the news anywhere in our countries. I don't know about theirs, but these numbers just shocked me to death, and so I kind of wanted to put it out there from two different perspectives and just let people know a little bit more of what's really going on over there.
Yeah, no, it's a very important thing to talk about, to make people aware of it, because it, there's very little comes out of South Africa at the best of times. I mean, how often do you hear about a farm attack or a farm murder on the news or on a mainstream internet news site? You don't. So then other issues
One,
coming out of that. I mean, the only one that I think got any kind of notoriety toward the back end of last year was one of the a former Springboks player, which is the South African rugby union team, got attacked in a farm attack. That got some notoriety because he was an international sports star. But you don't hear
yeah,
these things at all. And the issue we've raised here or the issues we've raised here, are very important and do need to be expressed in the wider forums.
yeah. I have to give credit to Tucker Carlson because he did speak out on international news. I mean, Fox News, that's huge, on this
Mm.
land expropriation, the farm murders. And he has a huge voice. I mean, he's watched by every conservative in America. And he was attacked when he spoke out. And so he spoke out again, and he gave facts, and he asked oh, this is okay. We should ignore it. So I have to give credit for him because he's the only one on the mainstream news media that I almost fell out of my chair. I watch him all the time, South and farmers, and I almost fell out because it's no one. I know what's going on, but no one ever talks about it. So, and then the next day was the day that President Trump sent out that tweet,
Send out his
and
tweet,
he's
yeah.
kind of buddies, I think, with yeah. So I have to give him a little credit. I wish they would speak more on the corruption, and because they know about it, and I know they know about it because I have the reports, classified reports from my government concerned with the corruption in South Africa, concerned with the EFF singing "Kill the Boer" and inciting, murder. The UN. I have these reports on the banking fraud, but nobody ever talks about it. So they know what's going on. That's the worst part.
Yeah, yeah, they know what's going on and then don't report about it, and what action happens to prevent it or to look into it any further.
It's like they just let just chaos reign for 25 years, complete and utter just nonsense. It's like living down the rabbit hole with the Mad Hatter in South Africa.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the past, as I made a point earlier, South Africa was effectively a first world nation, one of the few in Africa as a whole, and in the past 25 years, it's gone completely backwards, and it's accelerating.
Their military, their economy, everything was, first class. And now it's like one of the top 10 most corrupt countries in the world. That's crazy. I think it's at like number 7, or I don't remember exactly what I read. But to go from that to being on the verge of a civil war is just unbelievable.
Yes, it's totally unbelievable, and of course, the white minority in South Africa make up 8%, I want to say, of the population. I'm not 100% sure on that number. About that. So realistically, they are vastly outnumbered. Without even thinking about it, I mean, there's not over 90% of the population on the other side of the fence, and they're vastly outnumbered, and they're outgunned, literally, because we've just spoken about that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but but
And
it, but
that doesn't include that, yeah, if a civil war were to break out, the surrounding people that would come to support these radical, corrupt uh, political parties that either incite the violence against them, or they do nothing and they just let it continue. Um, there's a lot that will come and support them. Um, it's crazy, crazy. So, like 70 or 80 million against 4 to 5 million.
exactly, and doing nothing is effectively helping, because if you're not going to do something against it, you're next to us helping them do the atrocities and the evil things against the white people.
Yeah.
But
Well, I know that.
it's very important that people like you and I continue to do what we're doing, because we are their voice outside of South Africa, and I know that they appreciate both of us a lot, in
Yes.
the work that in the work that we do. And I'm still relatively new on. I've been doing this about 11 months, after I found out about Kayla. So and everything that happened here last year with it domestically. So it's very important that we continue to do what we do and continue to work together and be united in our efforts, because only through a united voice can we affect change and help people. You know, you and I, and those of us who do the work, because they don't have a voice outside of South Africa. They barely have a voice inside South Africa. They're, you know, the farm attacks and farm murders are barely reported in their own country, much less out here in the rest of the world. So they need people like you and I to you know, to post things on Facebook, to post things on Gab, to post things on Twitter, to whichever social platforms we're on, to make interviews and videos like these, post them on YouTube, because only by raising awareness can we even start making some kind of change to helping the white people over in South Africa.
Right. And I personally, I speak for them because they cannot say the things that we just said. Even though these are facts, these are news reports, these are things that actually happened. They can't speak. They can't tell you everything that's going on because they'll be arrested for speaking anything negative.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you have ever sat down and watched Farmlands by Lauren Southern, but she was interviewing, obviously, various people in South Africa through the course of her travels there, and she was speaking with some people, and they wanted to say stuff, but they hesitated. They couldn't say it because they knew they were on camera, and they knew that there would be a knock at the door, or the door would get knocked down, and they would be arrested, and who knows what would happen to them. So, they can't speak out. They need people like us to do what we're doing, because that we are effectively their voice.
Well, I would like to thank you, Mike, for everything that you do, and for supporting me in such crazy times. You've always stood behind me. I appreciate you very much. And for anyone who wants to follow Mike, he's on Twitter. It's at Traditional Mike.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Traditional Mike.
Yeah, at Traditional Mike, and it's the same on Gab as well.
Okay, and on Gab at Traditional Mike. And do you have YouTube?
I do. It's still a work in progress.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be uploading
YouTube. So.
I'm actually going to be uploading my. We actually had a rally here in where I live for the white farmers last year, which I attended last April. I'm going to re-upload that to the other the YouTube very soon, so that'll be up soon.
Okay. So how can they find you on YouTube?
It's Traditional Mike as well.
Traditional Mike.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
use Traditional Mike everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you can find. But I appreciate you coming and speaking to me and taking the time. I knew that you were at church, so I'm going to let you get back to your day. And thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, Brandy, for everything that you do. You're a strong voice, and you're awesome. And I'm very happy to support you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll speak soon. Okay, have a great day.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching. Bye now.
Bye.